So we have some questions for you about your many projects. Because just looking at your list alone, you have Star Wars, James Bond, and Doctor Who. That's enough to make anyone go crazy. But you also have you're a race car driver. You've flown bombers. You do marathons, and so there's lots that we'd like to ask you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Far away.
My first question is: we know you've done a fair few television commercials. I wanted to ask you, though, specifically about the Shell commercial you did and what it was like working with Alan Prost.
Alan Prost. Well, no, I didn't work with Alan Prost. It was Ayrton Senna.
Oh, wow. Okay, I was misinformed. That's even cooler. Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, I took the part as Alan Prost.
Oh.
And, see, we were down at the circuit at Brands Hatch. And the commercial actually was for Shell, the petroleum company. So I had an audition, and they wanted somebody who looked like Alain Prost and somebody who could drive a race car. And that was it. I was all tarted up like Alain Prost with the wig and everything else, and his overalls and everything else. And who turned up was Ayrton Senna. I didn't know he was coming, but that was great. That was really great, having to have a good conversation with him. And he actually thought that I was Alain Prost until I turned round. And
there's a bit of a rivalry, too, so that must have been a bit of a shock for him.
Oh, yeah, so that was the year that they were actually fighting for the World Championship. But when we were down there was quite a few people. Just the general public who'd come down because they knew that a film company were down there, and they were chasing me around thinking that I was actually Alain Prost. But I had to have a load of photographs taken with general public until they saw who I was, but they still didn't mind. It was still great to see the general public down there.
That's actually really kind of cool. If I may follow up, what was Ayrton Senna like?
Oh, he's a fantastic guy. Really, really good guy. He wasn't the sort of guy you could go around and sort of say to him, well, let's go for a booze.
Yeah.
He was very quiet, but he was very, very nice. Very nice.
So more of a reserved, sort of almost dignified kind of a guy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But he invited me into his caravan. We sat there having tea and coffee and cakes and goodness knows what, and then we watched a couple of films with some other guys who came down, and then we went back filming again then.
Yeah, that's actually very awesome. Very awesome.
And I actually drove Prost's F1 car.
Well, you've driven F3, correct?
Yep. I came up through Formula Ford into Formula V, which is Volkswagen, and into Formula 3.
Let me ask you this, though, as a bit of a follow-up, too. What would you say the biggest difference between F3 and an F1 car would be?
Oh, speed, power, much power. I mean, you can go faster in second gear in an F1 car, and you came in the top gear in an F3.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, an F3 will do about 150, 160, where you're looking at an F1 car at 200 plus.
Yeah, they're like doing they're getting down the streets at like 220, like something around that.
Yeah.
That's got to be incredible. But as an F3 driver, what would you say is probably the most fun experience you've ever had doing that?
That's a difficult one, that is. The best experience you say on that one?
Yeah, the best experience or even the most fun experience?
I was in a race in a circuit in England, and it's called Snetterton Circuit, which is in the east of England. And I was in second place, coming up to overtake the guy in front, and we touched, and we had a good collision, and a couple of wheels came off the car.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I just on my way out of my car, and the wheel came back and hit me across the shoulder and smashed my shoulder up a bit.
Wait, a wheel came off of an F3 car and basically careened into your shoulder?
Yeah, the big wheel came back, and that was it.
That had to hurt.
I didn't see the wheel coming at me, and when it hit me, then I got shot straight across the circuit, because it must have knocked me about 20, 30 yards across the circuit.
Oh, good Lord. And for our listeners who aren't quite aware about F1 or F3 racing, these are open-wheeled cars. Think Indy cars. You know, kind of the same concept. When you have a collision in a car like that, it's not like, you know, normal, like you know, American NASCAR or anything like that where, you know, you bounce off a little bit. No. Even the most minor collision can be a fatal thing. So I say you came out of that with a minor injury. Absolutely.
Well, actually, what I got was a broken shoulder, broken collarbone, and a couple of scrapes. I was back into the car within 6 weeks.
Wow.
Good Lord.
You, sir, are very lucky.
Take some stones to drive those things, I'll tell you that much. My hat's off, sir. My hat is off.
Yeah. But there you go. I mean, you know, you play with danger, and danger sometimes comes up onto you. But there you go.
So I guess I have some questions about another sport thing that you do that isn't quite as dangerous, but we have the owner of our site is an extreme runner. He does lots of marathons. He does lots of ultra marathons, very long distance races there in Pennsylvania, and he loves it. And so if we didn't ask you some questions about you running marathons and long distance races,
yep.
He'd kind of feel cheated. So just a couple of questions. So you said you've run for England in 51 marathons in all.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you also do other long distance races. So why don't you tell us some of your experiences? Like a lot of us probably ask runners, why in the world do you run marathons, you know, when you don't have to? And 51 of them over a 6-year period, like what sort of training did you have to go through? How much did you have to run? And what are some of the highlight races that you were able to run in your experiences you had doing all these marathons? Well, where did you get to go and so on?
Yeah, well, the 51 marathons weren't taken over just 6 years of international running. They were taken over a period of time. I mean, my last marathon was a couple of years back in Sri Lanka. We went on holiday, and I was persuaded with my arm up my back to run the marathon. We did it for the children of the tsunami, and we raised about equivalent of about 5,000 English pounds. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's about 7,500 in American dollars, I think.
Well, that's closer to 10,000.
Yeah, round about there. Yeah, but no, the period of international running came from mostly marathons and 10Ks and half marathons and stuff like that. But I started in 1983 with the London Marathon, and I did 13 London marathons, plus marathons in New York, Paris, Sri Lanka. I did one in Australia. Oh gosh, I've lost count of where they've gone now. But they're all over the world. I've done many. I did Berlin. I actually did the first Berlin Marathon once the wall came down, and that one was very, very tearful because the East and West Germans got together on that and created this marathon. And once it was on its way, you went through the Brandenburg Gate, as it were, through Berlin, and some of the Germans were actually crying.
Wow.
Yeah, very tearful. That one was very tearful. But there you go.
So how did you qualify to run for England in some of these races, or were you just that good that you could just sign up and they say you'll represent England for this one?
Oh no. You have to run certain times, and they've got to be a reasonably good time. Back in '86, it was the first one was the Commonwealth Games in Edinburgh. And then it goes right the way through to 92. I did 2 European Championships and 3 World Championships, long distance world running championships. The last one was in 1992. And I did 2.5 hours for the marathon.
Wow.
And then that's when I got picked for doing the World Championships then. Yeah.
Ooh.
Actually, I used to be 6'6" tall. Now I'm only 5'4". My wife keeps saying to me, "You've got to stop running because you're getting shorter."
Oh, I can't. That's never a good thing.
Wow.
I just come back actually for my actual yearly checkup today, medical checkup, and the nurse just said to me, "Well, what have you come for now?" I said, "The usual checkup." She said, "Well, it's a waste of time, wasn't it, with you? I see you every year and we get the same results. Goodbye."
Okay, so we're going to switch to a little bit about your movie career because we're officially a Star Wars website, and you were in Star Wars, or A New Hope as it is called now. So how did you get cast to be in Star Wars as the Medal Bearer, and how did they find you, and what did you originally think of the role?
Well, my agent said to me, she contacted me one day and she said, there's a film going around at the moment, which has been, it's only a cheap film. She said maybe about $2 million. Do you fancy going for an audition as the medal bearer? So I said, yeah, okay. I wasn't doing any work for a couple of weeks, so I'll go along. Went along there, did the audition. They said, yeah, you'll do. Go for a fitting. I went for a fitting in London. The fitting was about a guy who was about 6'6" tall, so they obviously had to alter the costume. And a couple of weeks later, then went and started shooting the film. And from there onwards, that was it. But who was to know that that film was going to be so iconic? Fantastic.
So how long did it take? Because you're the medal bearer in the final scene of the film, which has basically, by the looks of it, every single person they could scrounge from set and every extra they could find. How long did it take to film that scene? Because there's a lot of people in that scene, a lot of different elements. How long did it take? And
well, I was there for a couple of weeks. I think about the 7 or 8 days. I think we did that. But I had to stay behind because some of the shots that I took weren't sufficient, so we had to reshoot them again. And when they were again, we had to do some close-ups. Whatever happened to all these close-ups, who knows? But, no, it was a fantastic day to do the shooting on that. And as I said, who was to know that that film was going to be iconic as it is?
Exactly. So at that time in the filming, I know they were behind for filming, and they're having budget issues. Was it like a high stress filming situation, or by the time they got to that scene, they were pretty relaxed and just wanted to get? By
the time they got towards us at the end there, it was okay. Nobody was shouting and screaming at each other. It was quite relaxed, and once we did the shoots, and then they started to bring the cameras down a bit closer, because what we did actually there was, you've probably seen on my site the different shots that I've got there from the camera angles, going all the way down from behind the camera, in front of the camera, walking all the way down to go up the steps and to having the medals being presented. But it was great, really great.
Okay, so James, I think you have a question now.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of the one known for asking this particular question all the time, but I do have to ask it. As it relates to Star Wars and working on the film and whatnot, was there any sort of funny sort of moments or little stories or anything like that happened that you might be able to share with us?
Well, wasn't so much funny, but we had a guy on the set. I won't say a name, and I won't say what the character he had,
Okay.
He knew everybody. He'd done everything. And you had to ask him a question. Oh, yes, I know him. He's a good friend of mine, you know. He's the sort of, the guy, as I say, he knows everything. He knows everybody. But everybody was just taking the mickey out of him all the time, unbeknownst to But since then, I don't know, I've never seen the guy since, whether I will or not, ever. There's another matter of fact, isn't it? You know, but most people on the set were great, especially the three main characters. I found Carrie Fish a really, really nice lady to talk to. She was really, really friendly. But,
Wow.
But Harrison Ford, yeah, he was great. But as soon as he'd finished his scenes, he was off into the caravan with his cup of coffee or whatever he had in there. But Mark Hamill was good. Yeah, I found them really nice. But some people you speak to today don't say very good things about them, but I found them great. I find that you talk to people, you treat them the same as they treat you. Great.
Excellent.
But I think that Jerry has a couple of questions he wanted to ask. Specifically...
One last one about Star Wars first, and then I'm going to go Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
Doctor Who's kind of important. So one last one about Star Wars is, you know, in that final medal scene, you notice the whole bit where you see all the soldiers and so on and Tex watching them as they march down the aisle, and they have to do that turn where they all face you, you know, when you're giving out the medals.
Yeah.
Did that turn actually take a while to teach them? Because, you know, I've learned military terms. I'm from Alaska, which is a very militarized state, so to speak. You know, there's lots of soldiers here, so, like, you learn that sort of thing all the time. But, like, did it take a while to teach those people how to do that right, and let alone do it all in unison?
Not really, no, because I think it must have taken 4, 5 or 6 times, because they kept shifting people around. Because when you see those guys there isn't as many people there as it really is, because there's only about 50 people there. And they did one shot of the forward line, and then they changed them all around, did the next lot back, and then the next lot back, and then the next lot back. So actually what you're seeing is all the same people, but in different positions.
So only about 50 people. That's sneaky camera angles.
Oh, great stuff, wasn't it, eh?
Okay, so now we're going to ask about Doctor Who, because I love Doctor Who, and you've worked with 3 of the Doctors.
Yes, I have, yeah. Yeah.
So, first of all, what got you involved in Doctor Who? And I guess the follow-up to that one would be what was it like working with the great Tom Baker? Yeah,
he's good. Some days he's a bit moody, but other days he's great. Most times he's great. But when he's in a mood, you just let him carry on doing his work. But no, most times he was fine. He was good. He was good, very good actor, very thorough. He was actually, I can remember what the one that I did with him, and the Leisure Hive, or as you call it, the Leisure Hive. We had one day when he was shouting and screaming at everybody, but nobody took any notice of him, so we all just carried on.
So what, he was just like he was basically just carrying on at everyone, and nobody was paying any mind to him at all?
Yeah. Then it calmed down, and he started laughing with everybody else then, so he saw the funny side of it.
So what was your role in Doctor Who? Like, what sort of things did you get to do when you got to work with Tom Baker, Peter Davidson, and Colin Baker?
Yeah.
What sort of roles did you get to do? Were you aliens? Were you Daleks? What did you get to do on set?
On the Tom Baker one, I was a guy called I was an aide to this particular character, and
Hardin, right?
Hardin, that's the guy.
That's the dude.
Hardin's aide. Yeah, I was dressed with beard and long hair and rags and stuff like that. And then I was imprisoned with it as well. So, along with the aide himself and the main guy, we were imprisoned, as I say. That was too bad, that one, because I was only in a couple of scenes on that one. With Colin Baker, I had a great deal to do with that one. We were in England, north of England, and we were at an old coal mine in England. That was quite good. That was, got the name of that one now. You're going to remind me, aren't you?
Let's see here. Alright, I just had a brain fart. Full-on brain fart. Oh, this is embarrassing. Sorry.
Yeah, because I should remember all these.
Well, I was just saying, like, with a lot of your roles, were you more human characters, or were you, like, you know, the more exotic aliens?
No, human character on that one. Yeah, that was the... you can actually see a great deal of me on that one, because all the photographs I've got on my site are off of that, and all human. Yeah. Very good part that was I had on that one. With Peter Davison, I did 2 eps with him. The one was Black Orchid, and the other one was called Terminus. Well, Terminus, I was dressed again in sort of rags and stuff, because it was on a planet where they had all these characters who caught leprosy.
Ugh.
Yeah, and I was singled out for that one. With the other one, Black Orchid, we were playing cricket. And
nice.
I had 2 parts in that one. I was wicket-keeper for one team, and then batsman. So that was good. That was good.
So were you a Doctor Who fan before you got signed on, and what did you think of being cast?
Doctor Who, obviously, at the time was very, very big in England when all this was on, and you couldn't help but watch it on TV. It was on, I think it was on Saturdays, as it is here now, and most people used to stop doing what they were doing just to watch Doctor Who. But, yeah, it was good. It was good.
Do you still watch Doctor Who yourself and follow it?
No, I don't watch it much, because I'm always busy doing something else. If I'm not out doing a Star Wars convention, I'm doing a Doctor Who convention. So, excuse me. Saturdays, normally I'm out, as I say, doing these conventions. I mean, we've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks in Essex, not far from where I live here, and then after that we go. I'm booked up now until the end of November.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I've got 3 booked for next year. I've got Denmark, Holland, and actually the one in the States is a question mark at the moment. But we'll just have to wait and see for that one.
Okay.
So, we'll see.
We know the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who is coming up in November, and so, you know, it's a time where lots of people go to remember, you know, the old Doctor Who when they just cast Peter Capaldi and so on. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
So not only have you worked with Star Wars and Doctor Who, which are, you know, some of the biggest sci-fi ever made, but you know, you also completed the next part of, you know, every we'll say British movie fan's dream, and you were in a James Bond movie.
Yeah. That's something I've always loved, is James Bond. And when I got the part for Bond, which wasn't very big, but it's a part in Bond, it was quite exciting.
And I actually watched The Spy Who Loved Me yesterday. Mm-hmm. And it's one of my favorites. It's you know, one of the first ones with Jaws. The spies work together. It's a great Bond movie. I quite love it. And so, so you said you love Bond movies. So how did you get the role to be in a James Bond film? And, you know, if I were cast in a Bond movie, I'd be doing somersaults. What was your reaction?
Yeah. I just went along there as just to do nothing, really, just to do a background artist, because I had nothing else to do. And I got called out, and I said, well, what have I done wrong? He said, nothing. I said, I want you to go and be the armory officer. Go and get made up, and go and change your costume. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah. But the trouble was then, it wasn't cast, but it was as a last-minute thing, because they thought at the time, well, as the big explosions and everything else was going on, the guys needed armory, so we needed an armory officer, and that's how I got it, just by sheer luck.
Wow.
Yeah, just being in the right position at the right time.
So did you get to meet Roger Moore
Yes,
or
yeah.
Barbara Bach and I forgot the name actor whose Jaws, but did you get to meet that whole group then?
I spoke to Bond himself, Roger Moore, more than anybody else, because we were sort of close-ish in the scenes that we were doing. Mm-hmm. Really nice guy, really nice and friendly. Actually, at the time he gave me some photographs of my oldest son, and actually his name was Andrew, and he said, yeah, give him these. He said, hope he likes them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I've heard that about him, though. Apparently he has a reputation for being a very, very, like, almost exceptionally nice kind of guy.
Yeah, he likes playing tricks as well.
Oh, do you have a story about this?
He's a prankster.
He sure is. Yeah, I can remember one time he did one on me, and
Oh, really?
yeah, there were a load of barrels around, and there was a load of there were 6 barrels on the ground standing up, and on top of them were cardboard barrels. And I was standing about, I suppose, 2 meters away or 2 yards away from them. And all of a sudden he shouted out, "Look out, Nick!" And he pushed one of these cardboard barrels. Well, I went back and changed my trousers, and because he's standing there laughing his head off, isn't he?
Uh-oh. Yeah, there you are on set going, "Someone bring me my brown pants."
Yeah, no, that was good. We had a good laugh. We had a good laugh until all the explosions started to go, and unfortunately somebody died on set.
Oh?
Yeah, somebody got blown up. Yeah, and got. In fact, you can actually see it if you knew the scene. It's on the film now, where the guy's blown up and he's shot into the water, and poor guy died from burns and other problems.
When did they die instantly, or like when did they find out? Because when you're doing that sort of set, it's really hard to stop the filming, because when you start blowing things up, you really can't blow them up twice a lot of the time.
No.
So like, did they stop the filming, or did they not find out he died till later? Like, what happened? What was the reaction?
Yeah, really?
Well, nobody actually knew for a couple of minutes until he never moved, and one of the extras shouted out, because they had to stop filming then, and then a couple of guys jumped in for some of the the background artists, and jumped in and pulled him out, and he was nearly gone. His burns were actually terrible.
Wow.
Crap.
Yeah.
Pardon my language.
Just got too close to one of the explosions.
Wow.
So, unfortunately, poor guy.
And then, I take it they basically took him to medical and then just had to finish filming. What was it like to film after something like that happened?
Well, it was stopped for the rest of the day then, and we had to go back the next morning and start shooting all over again. Most of the explosions were done. It was just a few more different explosions, like behind doors and stuff like that. But, people were still a bit unsure of the explosions and where they were then.
A bit shell-shocked, and it was probably a bit somber on the set.
Yes, it was a bit. But once we started shooting and got underway, most of the time it was okay, because people had to put it behind their mind to get the work done. Otherwise, filming would have got behind, and obviously, as you know, if you drop filming, then it starts to cost. Yeah,
and we know Bond movies are notoriously expensive, and...
But,
wow.
We got on with it.
Okay, James, I think it's your turn to ask a question.
Wow, I'm never going to be able to look at that scene again, like, the same way. That's insane, though.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I feel so bad now.
Yeah, that's just the unfortunate way things happen sometimes, isn't it?
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
man. You know, 1 minute, everything's okay. The next thing you know, I mean, that's life. But,
Yeah.
speaking of life, when it comes to being an actor, what would you say some of maybe the most positive or, best learning experiences you've ever had were, as an actor?
The best things is actually it is being on Star Wars. I just cannot get away from Star Wars because everybody I speak to, they say, "I've seen you on Star Wars, so why do you live in this area?" So, well, it's just a fantastic thing, Star Wars. I just can't imagine this world being without Star Wars films. And now they're making, or going to be making, more Star Wars films. It's obviously going to be more popular than ever. And hopefully that's going to get some more conventions come up. So if we get more conventions come up, it's going to be a bit more money in my pocket.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
So I guess we're gonna end with one last question. We always like to give all of our guests the soapbox, and so you can promote any current cause you have, any conventions you have upcoming, promote your website so people can send you things to get signed, autographs and so on. So we're going to give you the soapbox. You can promote any project you have right now, any conventions, any upcoming appearances. You can promote whatever you'd like, and well, the soapbox is yours.
Right, thank you. Well, we've got a nice site which is called Sci-Fi Signers United.weebly.com. And all my site on there is my Star Wars, my Doctor Who, my James Bond, etc., etc., etc. I've had replicas made of the Medal of Yavin, and I take them with me on conventions and sell them. Yeah.
I want one of those.
Well, you've got my email address, yeah? You have the Sci-Fi Signers United site. Have a look at it on site.
Actually, I will.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I say, I get quite a few people contacting me for photographs and for the medals. I've sold, how many medals now? Over 60 medals now, different parts of the world. I sold another one last week to Japan. I've sent 2 more off the week before to the States, Germany, all over Europe. Wherever people want them, they go off.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's actually kind of awesome.
Yeah, have a look. If you like it, give us a call.
There you go, folks. If you want a replica Medal of Yavin, give them a ring.
Well, United.weebly.com.
Yeah.